The comedian's declaration that gender is a fact and his characterization of the LGBTQ community as too sensitive prompted a walkout by staff and support from transgender rights advocates, some of whom accused Netflix of profiting from hate speech.
G'day, ladies and gentlemen. It has come to my attention very recently that absolutely everybody at Netflix is completely unhinged. They are completely batshit crazy. They want to fight tooth and nail off what they declare as bad jokes, mean jokes, rude jokes, offensive jokes. I'm talking particularly about Dave Chappelle's recent special, The Closer. Now just remember as we go on through this video that jokes are jokes. They don't always mean the person is a big piece of shit, particularly when you go to a comedy show and watch a comedy show under the guise and the social contract of this person's fucking joking. With the full knowledge of what jokes are, people at Netflix have walked out and protested Dave's special. But you know what? You know what they didn't do? They didn't walk out and protest something far more egregious. I'm talking about something that actually could have caused harm, that millions of people were thoroughly not offended by, but they looked at and they just said, what the fuck is this? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the show Cuties.
Dude, what the what is this? Are you serious?
Why is the hypersexualization of children, little babies, seen and deemed to be okay, fair and fine by the powers that be at places like Netflix?
Netflix marketed this film as an adult dance movie starring twerking 11-year-olds.
When I got to scroll down my feed and instead of seeing funny memes and people to wind up, I got to see an 11-year-old girl's arse twerking, which was that was lovely. Thank you very much for that.
This is not condemning the sexualization of kids. If anything, this movie borderlines on glorifying it.
Oh my god, every time I look, there's an ass on the screen of an 11-year-old.
The fact that Cuties is on Netflix is nothing shy of a crime in my opinion. It is actual softcore child porn.
And not only were Netflix not protesting about that, they were complacent in it. They didn't do shit. But Dave tells jokes. Oh my god, let's freak the fuck out. I'll be honest with you, the special wasn't even that offensive. If you think that's offensive, come and see me next year. I'll fucking make you shit your own pants. I know you think I'm being hyperbolic about, oh, these people were freaking out. No, they were fucking having meltdowns. Like, look at this. Have a look at this.
Tonight, Netflix employees walking out of the company's Hollywood office after weeks of internal backlash.
If your satire is punching down, you are being a bully.
Fuck me dead. Imagine being that weak. Jesus.
We didn't care what Dave Chappelle was doing until you come for our community.
Was that a testy pop, mate? Can I say that? What the fuck was that?
We need to say it's not okay. This hate conversation was not their intention. We understand that jokes are jokes, things are things.
Yes, but do you really understand that things are things? I want to know, do you really understand that things are things? Because if you did understand that things are things, then you would understand that you said a minute ago that things are things and you'd understand it. Jokes don't cause violence, they don't cause hate, they don't hurt people physically. They might make you upset, but that's on you for being a little bitch. As long as you are making the paying audience laugh, you are doing your job as a comedian. The only bad joke, in my opinion, and the opinion of any comedian that's worth their weight, is a joke that doesn't make people laugh. Here in Australia, we had our own reaction from some very big comedians like Hannah Gadsby. She cracked the mega shits. If you don't know who Hannah Gadsby is, she's Australia's biggest comedian ever. She's the queen of TED Talks and the Duns of Punchlines, but she is very well known across the comedy community and she has big specials on Netflix. Hannah Gadsby slams Netflix executive Ted Sarandos for dragging her name into the defense of Dave Chappelle. Australian comedian Hannah Gadsby has launched a scathing attack on a Netflix executive who cited her comedy specials in defense of streaming platform support for US comedian Dave Chappelle. I'll give credit where credit's due. Hannah Gadsby was funny back in the day. She was. Before she went full woke, she was quite funny. And I'll say this as well, people do enjoy going to her shows. If they're not everyone's cup of tea, that's fine. My shows aren't everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine as well. But, Hannah, you suck. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm just jealous that her special Nanette has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and actually outranks The Shawshank Redemption. Netflix Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos cited both Gadsby and Chappelle comedy specials as examples of diversity of the content that the streaming platform provides. And that's, Netflix are a business. They need to be able to provide people for the wokes and the not so wokes and the people who like nice little punchlines and people like the hardcore shit. We are working hard to ensure marginalized communities aren't defined by a single story. So we have Sex Education, Orange is the New Black, Control Z, Hannah Gadsby, and Dave Chappelle all on Netflix. Key to this is increasing diversity on the content team itself in the memo from Sarandos. But Gadsby, she was no happy. Hey, Ted Sarandos, just a quick note to let you know that I prefer you didn't drag my name into your mess, Gadsby wrote on Instagram. Now I have to deal with even more of the hate and anger that Dave Chappelle's fans like to unleash on me every time Dave gets $20 million to process his emotionally stunted partial worldview. You didn't pay me nearly enough to deal with the real world consequences of etc. She just fucking cracked the shits, all right? She cracked it, full cracked it. But this is crazy because Hannah is a comedian herself. She knows that jokes aren't real. They don't have to be all real. Some jokes can be real. In the same vein that not all movies are real. Have you noticed that in some movies, the celebrity that I look like the most, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has actually killed people. Now, has he not gone to jail because he's a Hollywood elite? Or has he not gone to jail because movies aren't real? Now, Netflix originally stuck up for Dave, but then when all their staff walked out and freaked the fuck out, they had a collective aneurysm. Everyone walked out of the office. They cracked their shits. They didn't even get their morning tea, and they cracked it, walked out, and protested. But my favorite part was, of course, this dude. Look at that evil sign. Disgusting. Hate speech. Misogyny, probably. We like Dave. Thank God it was broken. But the best part of all of that was the soy boy, the extreme soy boy, who broke the sign. Listen to what he does when he pulls old mate's sign down, breaks it, and then old mate just has a stick.
Breaking my sign! Don't have free speech rights! Don't have free speech rights of all of you! Oh, look, there's such a sign! He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon!
He's got a weapon! No wonder nobody takes you seriously. Look at this dickhead wearing fucking AOC's Tax the Rich shirt or merch. Well, you're standing in front of Netflix, which makes billions of dollars.
I'm just here to say that jokes are funny, people. Dave Chappelle is a funny guy. I love Dave.
I have a funny feeling you're not getting more people on your side. Even with this lady screaming repent, which is a great argument, I don't think people are agreeing with you. But the walkout and the whining and the whinging wasn't enough. The employees at Netflix, the trans employees, a resource group at Netflix, has released a list of demands they want. We want the company to adopt measures in the areas of content investment, employee relations, and safety and harm reduction, all of which are necessary to avoid future instances of platforming, transphobia, and hate speech. So here's what they want. They want to create a new fund to specifically develop trans and non-binary talent. They want to revise processes on commissioning and releasing potentially harmful content. They want to hire trans and non-binary content executives, especially Black, Indigenous, people of colour in leading roles. Acknowledge the harm and Netflix's responsibility for the harm from transphobic content and particularly harm to the Black trans community. And add a disclaimer before transphobic titles that specifically flag transphobic. So Dave's special would have a big thing next to it that says, this is transphobic, you shouldn't watch it. That sounds like a great company move. But all of this means you basically, on Netflix, will not see another comedy special that pushes the boundaries. And that sucks. Here's a question. What does Dave have to say about all this? Well, he finally responded, and he responded beautifully.
You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore.
I completely agree. This is how people argue when they have no argument. They just scream racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, all that shit. That is what they say when they have nothing else to say. They use words that replace debate, and I'm sorry, it's just childish. Though Chappelle was willing to meet with members of the trans community, he jokingly listed off a slew of conditions, much like the conditions from the Netflix trans community, that they would have to meet for him to turn up to the conversation. To the transgender community, I'm more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anyone's demands, which is often their number one demand. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from the beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and at a time of my choosing. And thirdly, which this is fucking amazing, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. Fucking bravo, Dave. This is the world we live in. You have to jump through all these hoops. It is ridiculous. The same thing happened to me when I applied for funding for my documentary series. You had to have like a certain amount of LGBTQ plus people on the film set. You had to have 50-50 male-female directors. The whole thing, it is just hilarious. Just let people make good shit. And yet, with all of this, all the carry on, the crying, the whinging, the yelling, the moaning, the bitching, the shitting, at Netflix, there was not one peep about a show that they fucking marketed the shit out of that was about an 11-year-old twerking. Fuck you to the moon, Netflix. Anyway, enjoy your hypocrisy. Be a good motherfucker. My name's Isaac Butterfield. Toodaloo, au revoir. Bye-bye.